live in interesting times. Today's stories. More bodies found as death toll from Indonesia quake nears 2,000. A Nobel winner says U.S. hostility to climate change policy is anomalous. A Nobel Peace Prize winner wants Islamic State jihadists to face trial. President Trump crows over bitter Supreme Court justice victory. Plus, Donut Festival sprinkles cheer all over California Capitol. Hello everyone, I am Jennifer Politan bringing you stories from around the globe, and this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Search and rescue efforts are still underway almost 2 weeks after Indonesia was struck by a powerful earthquake followed by a tsunami. Indonesia's disaster agency say that they have recovered 1,763 bodies so far from the 7.5 magnitude and subsequent tsunami that struck Sulawesi on September 28th. The number of people believed missing has soared to 5,000.
Today I braced myself to come to this place again to see where exactly my house is, but cannot find it.
Where was your house?
My house was, I don't know, I met my neighbor and they said my house was like over here, but actually my house is like 300 or 400 meters from here, to the higher ground.
An official said Monday nearly 2,000 bodies have been recovered from Indonesia's disaster-ravaged Palu city as the search for victims ended at a hotel destroyed in the powerful earthquake and tsunami. Local military spokesman M. Thohir said the death toll from the twin disaster on Sulawesi Island that erased whole suburbs in Palu has reached 1,944. Authorities have said that as many as 5,000 are believed missing in two hard-hit areas since the September 28th disaster, indicating far more may have perished than the current toll. Hopes of finding anyone alive have faded, and the search for survivors amid the wreckage has turned to gathering and accounting for the dead. The disaster agency said the official search for the unaccounted would continue until October 11th, at which point they would be listed as missing or presumed dead. But rescuers called off the search on Monday at Hotel Roa Roa, which was reduced to a tangled mess of twisted rebar and smashed concrete by the force of the quake. The hotel emerged as an early focus of efforts to extract survivors, with 7 people pulled alive from its mangled ruins in the immediate aftermath. But nobody else was saved as the days passed, and optimism faded as corpses surfaced from the wreckage. Among the confirmed dead were 5 paragliders in Palu for a competition, including an Asian Games athlete and a South Korean, the only known foreign victim in the disaster.
Authorities believe the 80-room hotel was near capacity when the district was ravaged by a 7.5 magnitude quake and tsunami, and estimated 50 to 60 people could be trapped inside. Speaking at Yale University, William Nordhaus, one of the co-winners of the 2018 Nobel Prize for Economic Sciences for his work on constructing green growth models, criticized the noise around climate change in the U.S. and the administration's hostility to environmental policy.
We understand the science. I think we understand the economics of abatement. We understand pretty much enough the damages, but we don't understand how to bring countries together. And that's where we are. I think the real frontier work is going on today. The reason is that if you look around, who are we talking about that's going to solve the problem? It's you and me. There are billions of individuals, millions of firms, thousands of governments, hundreds of nations. And for them to take action, they're going to have incentives. And the kind of incentives that we're talking about, they're not speeches. We can sermonize all day, but the incentives of market prices, and to raise the prices of goods and services that are carbon intensive and to lower the ones that are less carbon intensive.
U.S. economists William Nordhaus and Paul Romer won the 2018 Nobel Economics Prize on Monday for constructing green growth models that show how innovation and climate policies can be integrated with economic growth. Working independently, they've addressed some of our time's most basic and pressing questions about how we create long-term sustained and sustainable growth, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said. The Academy said their models, both developed in the 1990s, have significantly broadened the scope of economic analysis. The prize announcement came as the UN warned of a landmark report that an unprecedented transformation of society and the world economy was needed to avoid global climate chaos. It said time was running out to avert disaster, noting that our planet's surface was already warmed 1 degree Celsius, or 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. 62-year-old Romer, a former World Bank chief economist, now at New York University's Stern School of Business, said he was confident the world could reduce greenhouse gas emissions and still improve standards of living in the future. He said, quote, "We can absolutely make substantial progress to protecting the environment and without giving up the chance for sustained growth," unquote. He later revealed how he got 2 phone calls before 6 a.m. but didn't answer, thinking they would be telemarketing. Seeing they were from Sweden, he called back and found out he had won. The jury said Nordhaus and Romer's findings, quote, "have brought us considerably closer to answering the question of how we can achieve sustained and sustainable global economic growth," unquote. Nordhaus was honored for integrating climate change into long-run macroeconomic analysis. His integrated assessment model is now widely used to simulate how the economy and climate co-evolve, and to examine the consequences of climate policy interventions, for example, carbon taxes. Nordhaus's research shows that the most efficient remedy for problems caused by greenhouse gas emissions is a global scheme of carbon taxes uniformly imposed on all countries. Countries refusing to take part in the scheme should be subjected to customs tariffs. Asked if he was hopeful about reversing the effects of climate change, Nordhaus said, "There's a lot of momentum here. It's like a supertanker, that it takes a long time to slow it down, but I think it's something we can do." Complementing Nordhaus's research, the jury said Romer laid the foundations for endogenous growth theory, which explains how ideas are different from other goods and require specific conditions to thrive. His research demonstrated how economic forces govern the willingness of companies to produce new ideas and innovations. Romer resigned from the World Bank in January 2018 after raising questions about how the institution was ranking countries. Both winners, tipped as Nobel frontrunners in recent years, will share the 9 million Swedish kronor, about $1.01 million or 860,000 euro prize. Unlike the other Nobel Prizes, which were created in the will of Swedish inventor and philanthropist Alfred Nobel and first awarded in 1901, the Economics Prize was started by the Swedish Central Bank in 1968 to mark its tricentenary. It was first awarded in 1969. The prize, which also consists of a diploma and a gold medal, will be presented at a ceremony in Stockholm on December 10th. The Economics Prize wraps up the 2018 Nobel Award season, notable this year for the lack of a literature prize, postponed for the first time in 70 years over a rape scandal that came to light as part of the #MeToo movement.
The most highly anticipated Nobel, the Peace Prize, went to Yazidi women's campaigner Nadia Murad and Congolese doctor Denis Mukwege for their work in fighting sexual violence in conflicts around the world. Up next, Nobel Peace Prize winner Nadia Murad wants to see members of the Islamic State jihadist group face justice, not death, but trial in a courtroom. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Nobel Peace Prize winner Nadia Murad wants to see members of the Islamic State jihadist group face justice, not death, but trial in a courtroom. Murad was one of thousands of young women from the Yazidi religious minority who were kidnapped by Islamic State in Iraq 4 years ago and held in sexual slavery, but was able to escape.
Older women and men face summary execution during the Islamic State assault on the Yazidis, which the United Nations has described as genocide. She said at the National Press Club in Washington, using an Arabic acronym for IS, justice doesn't mean killing all of the Daesh members who committed these crimes. Justice is taking Daesh members to a court of law and seeing them in court admitting to the crimes they committed against the Yazidis and being punished for those crimes specifically. Many Islamic State members have been killed on battlefields of Iraq and Syria, while those who do not make it to court in Iraq are usually tried on terrorism charges. Murad was jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize on Friday, along with Congolese doctor Denis Mukwege, for their efforts to end the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war and armed conflict. She said she aims to defend persecuted peoples and victims of sexual violence in the Middle East and around the world, but that she cannot do it alone.
لكن جائزة واحدة والشخص واحد لا يمكنه تحقيق هذه الأهداف، فنحن نحتاج إلى عمل أممي وبواسطة المؤسسات وبمشاركة المرأة والشباب ومشاركة الضحايا أيضاً لإعادة الحياة إلى المناطق التي دمرتها الحرب. جميع الحكومات إلى مكافحة جريمة الإبادة الجماعية والعنف الجنسي، وينبغي للعالم أن يتحمل مسؤوليته الأخلاقية القانونية وضمان المسألة والمحاسبة بالشكل الصحيح. والعنف الجنسي في مناطق الصراع وفي مدننا أيضا يجب أن تتوقف.
Speaking about her home country, Murad says she hopes Iraq will soon have a new government after months of political deadlock. Responding to a question about the Me Too movement and its potential to bring change, Murad said she hopes all survivors of sexual assault will be heard.
President Donald Trump reveled Monday in arguably the biggest and hardest fought victory of his controversy-strewn presidency, ahead of a ceremonial swearing-in for new Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh's Saturday confirmation in one of the closest such Senate votes in history showcased Americans' polarization ahead of November 6 congressional midterm elections, where Democrats hope to end Republican dominance.
Boarding the Marine One helicopter at the White House, Trump branded the sexual assault allegations that threatened to derail Kavanaugh's path to the top court, quote, a hoax, and all made up, fabricated, unquote.
It was all made up, it was fabricated, and it's a disgrace. And I think it's going to really show you something come November 6th. The way they dealt with a high-level, brilliant, going to be a great justice of the Supreme Court, the way they really tortured him and his family, I thought it was a disgrace. Hearing that now they're thinking about impeaching a brilliant jurist, a man that did nothing wrong, a man that was caught up in a hoax that was set up by the Democrats, using the Democrats' lawyers, and now they want to impeach him. I've heard this from many people. I think it's an insult to the American public.
The president, whose Republicans fear losing at least the lower house of Congress in November, predicted that Kavanaugh Roe could backfire on the Democrats. Democrats fought tooth and nail to stop Kavanaugh's candidacy, claiming that the accomplished conservative-minded judge was not suited to the Supreme Court, which will now tilt decisively to a more Republican-friendly panel. Then, just as his confirmation seemed inevitable, 11th-hour allegations emerged that Kavanaugh sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl while at high school and exposed himself to a female classmate at an alcohol-fueled dorm party at Yale University. No evidence was produced to back up the searing accusations. Then an extra FBI probe, which media reports say was drastically curtailed by the White House, also found nothing new, and Kavanaugh was finally voted in. Kavanaugh took oath on Saturday, but the White House version will be a chance for the Trump administration to celebrate publicly. Kavanaugh's 2-vote margin of victory in the Senate made it the closest Supreme Court confirmation vote since 1881, and by far the most contentious since Clarence Thomas in 1991. Only one Democrat voted for Trump's nominee. Kavanaugh's nomination as a replacement for retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy was controversial from the start. The initial focus of opposition was solely on the conservative views held by the married father of two. Then came bombshell testimony from university research psychologist Christine Blasey Ford that Kavanaugh would sexually assaulted her at a party when they were in school. Now that Kavanaugh is confirmed, the 9-justice court, which rules on constitutional questions, is expected to take a more reliably conservative approach.
President Trump has repeatedly said that putting conservatives on the court, Kavanaugh is his second appointment, was among the top goals of his presidency. Since justices serve lifetime appointments, the political consequences are likely to last long beyond Trump's administration. Coming up, Sacramento Donut Festival sprinkles cheer all over California Capitol. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly. This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C., and I'm Jennifer Polentan. Eagle News correspondent MJ Ricadio takes us to the very sweet and delightful Donut Festival in Sacramento. Take a look.
Welcome to Sacramento Donut Festival 2018, celebrating all things donut, only here at California Automobile Museum. Sold out for its second consecutive year in California's capital, the Sacramento Donut Festival drew in lines of attendees more than an hour before the doors opened.
Well, this is our second year attending, and I think we love donuts, obviously, and it's a good chance to see kind of the artisan vendors in the area, and then, of course, to support the local community. So I think that's one of the main reasons, other than donuts, of course.
And what about you, John?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I'm mostly interested in discovering new donuts that I've never had before. So this is a good chance to try a lot of new things in one place.
Vendors showcased their creativity and set themselves apart from others. Totem Coffee Roasters describes what makes them donuts unique.
My name's Hillary. We're from Totem Coffee in Placerville. We have been doing donuts for about 2 years now, but we've been a coffee roaster for 3 years. So we're doing vegan, organic, as local as we can get as far as our fruits and our flavors go. And they're all vegan, and we make them in-house, and we're based out of Placerville.
While donuts were the main attraction of the festival, it also features local coffee roasters and donut-inspired ice cream flavors. For one vendor, his art has taken on a new meaning through donuts.
So last year, I started doing these donut paintings for the first ever Sacramento Donut Festival. And it was kind of a joke at first. I just was painting donuts to see what would happen. I was actually turned on to it because my mom sent me a link over Facebook for this event, which just started last year. I don't know if you knew that or not. So I came out with just kind of plain donuts, and I did really well. I brought 32 out and I sold 28. So it was kind of like, wow, there's something here. So this year I actually started making it more like owning the art more. So it's not so much of a joke as it is starting to build passion for it. So that's why this year there's like sprinkles, there's bacon, there's all kinds of like new details as opposed to just a plain donut. So it's been really fun. I've gotten a lot more out of it as an artist just personally than I ever thought I would have. So it's been really nice, like awesome.
Another highlight of the event was a donut competition. This year's winner and returning champion was Bad Bakers, which took first place with their new concept, the Mo Cheese gluten-free Mochi Donut, topped with butter glaze, cheese, and sprinkled sugar. Dave, an organizer of the event, explains how the Donut Festival came to be what it is today.
This is our second year of selling out. We sold out last year and this year. It came about from an idea of the burger battle, the Sacramento Burger Battle, and our friend Rodney, and how lucky he is to talk about hamburgers all year long and eat hamburgers, and we were like, why can't we do that with donuts? And then we realized at the time there were no other donut festivals in all of the United States. So it took us a couple of years before we got on our feet and got it started, but there's still only a few. And ours is the only one that is locals only. Just shops in the Sacramento area, no national chains. There's a lot of mom and pop shops, pop-up places that only sell on the street. Shorty's has a donut truck, and we really want to spotlight Sacramento and how awesome it is. We take the profits and split it between the Sacramento Food Bank and the California Automobile Museum, because we just want to give something back to especially to people who, it seems fitting that on a day when everyone is gorging themselves on donuts and sweets, that we should give money back to some people who can't.
This is not just your typical donut event. It also helps Sacramento Food Bank. Reporting from Sacramento Donut Festival, my name is MJ Ricardio, and I'm one with 25.
Thanks, MJ. I'll be on my way to get some blueberry donuts after this. That is today's Eagle News Washington, D.C. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.ph and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. Thank you for watching. I am Jennifer Politan, and I am one with 25.